Welcome to the Andrew Finney Show, where we help you make sense of real estate. My name is Andrew Finney. I'm with King Realty here in Las Vegas, Nevada. A couple of quick ground rules as we get going here is number one, you're in a safe place, so please be respectful and polite. Number two, there is no such thing as a stupid question, so if it's on your mind, please ask it, and then let's get the answer to your questions that are most pressing to you today. As we move forward through the live stream, what we'll do is that we'll go into the book of the week, we'll go into a question of the week that really stood out to me that came in either from subscribers or from a comment that came up over the past week from people that I work with here in Las Vegas. And of course, we'll go through the last 7 days of comments, as many as we can, and answer your questions while being live right now. So I'm looking forward to a wonderful time with you. Let's get started. So the book of the week is The Four Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom by Miguel Ruiz. Now, I wanted to share this book with you because I thought it was really, really important for personal development and even professional development to consider the impacts and influences that other people have on us. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I talk about this a lot. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much. Yes, my week's going well, and I hope yours is as well, Matt. Thanks so much for being here today. So, it's really important to keep focused on what's important to us and how to develop ourselves in the best way possible. One of my own personal mantras is that I'm better today than I was yesterday, and I'll be better tomorrow than I am today. So speaking of that and how it relates to the four agreements is the four agreements really break down to the first one, being impeccable with your word, being impeccable. So being a person of integrity. And for reference, I had a conversation with someone the other day. They really, really enjoyed the Marine Corps definition of integrity, which is doing the right thing when no one is watching, and especially when no one is watching. It's critically important. So that's the definition of integrity as it was taught to us in the Marine Corps. And it's probably one of the best definitions that you could ever have for integrity and really focusing on the how-to of integrity. The second part of the four agreements is don't take anything personally. When's the last time somebody said something silly to you and it hurt your feelings or you got you down a little bit? Why is that? I mean, consider the fact that how someone treats you is their karma, but how you respond is your karma. Don't take things personally. Even on the YouTube channel, sometimes people say some pretty mean things to me and I don't understand why. All I'm trying to do is help people. But then again, people are people. For all I know, it's just transference of issues that they have within themselves, and they're manifesting themselves and trying to take it out on someone else to make themselves feel better. So if we just look at it, hey, everybody has a good day, everybody has bad days, and everyone has in between days, and we learn to do that hashtag JTAB, which is simply take a breath. Just take a breath. It really is that simple, and it'll help us keep perspective of what's most important to us and not allow us to take anything personally. It's extremely wise just to be yourself and stay true to yourself and always be the best person you can be, and nothing can get you down. You always have a spirit of positivity and live an inspired life. So the third one is not to make assumptions, right? Don't make assumptions. Now, this becomes extremely important in real estate, especially when it comes down to like negotiations and stuff. People are always assuming something. The seller's automatically going to do this, or a buyer's automatically going to do that. Well, how do we really know unless we ask the question? We don't know. So it's always best not to assume ownership of another person's thought process or assume ownership of what you believe someone's going to do without asking. The only person that we can ultimately control in this world is who? Ourselves. So everything else becomes an assumption unless we ask and we seek to understand how best to work with somebody. So please don't make assumptions and be true to yourself. And then the fourth is to always do your best. Now that goes back to the personal mantra I shared with you a few moments ago, and I really hope that you'll take up the four agreements and it can benefit you personally and professionally moving forward. So a question of the week that came in yesterday, matter of fact. It was a comment from John Zell, who I believe is probably one of our subscribers, and he said, why would a buyer's agent help a buyer negotiate a lower price for the buyer when the agent's commission would be higher if they did it? And I really wanted to clue in on that because sometimes there's a misperception that a buyer's agent is going to try to increase the price somehow, or there's a misconception that they don't care to help you negotiate the best deal. Well, it's very, very important to understand that, first of all, we as real estate agents have what are called fiduciary duties to our clients that we represent, whether it's a seller or a buyer. Fiduciary duties could probably be best explained by thinking of an acronym as an old car. So if we looked at the acronym old car, what that means is that your real estate agent is has a legal duty to be obedient, loyal, to provide you with full disclosure, to maintain your confidence, to give you full accounting in what's termed as reasonable skill and care. So, how does this pertain to negotiations? Whose best interest is your agent supposed to be upholding? Your best interest, regardless of whether you're selling or buying. So, to John's point, I want to throw out something very real to help this become maybe more illustrative for you. Let's say that a buyer agent was going to get paid 3% of a 3% commission for the sale of a property. Let's say that said property was a $300,000 property. Well, if we took 300,000 and we multiplied it by 3%, then that means that that real estate broker would get paid $9,000 in gross before broker splits, taxes, operation costs, all that fun stuff, right? But $9,000. Now, if the question is, what's the incentive for them to try to help you negotiate down to 290 or 285 or something along those lines, right? Well, if the comment from John was they'll make more money, let's take a closer look at that again, keeping that percentage in mind. So if the difference was $10,000, just for the sake of easy math, and you multiply that by 3%, what is it? $300. So why would an agent be wanting to try to screw over a buyer essentially over $300? It's just not going to happen. A true professional agent isn't focused on the commission. A true professional agent, a trusted real estate advisor, is focused on you. Commissions take care of themselves in the real estate business so long as the real estate advisor takes care of the client first and keeps you focused and keeps what's important to you in mind the whole way through. The commissions take care of themselves. So whenever you ask the question, John, it's a really good question. I just wanted to make sure that you know and anyone else watching knows that your trusted real estate advisor, whether on the listing or buyer side, will always try to help you get the best deal possible. And please keep in mind there are more things involved than just a price. There are also terms of a contract that come to play. Now, you may want to go visit yesterday's video, which was how to negotiate your home price like a boss. We talked about some of those terms that are important to buyers. There's a lot of devils in the details in real estate contracts. So it's about putting together the most solid and well-rounded deal for what the needs of you, the buyer, are in that case. And the same thing is true for the selling position. So let's go ahead and get into the questions that came in as we're waiting for more people to join us, or any comments that you might have right now. So Matt, I see that you said that you've been feeling under the weather, but I'm getting better now. Thanks. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling a little bit under the weather, but definitely happy to hear that you're starting to feel better. So hopefully you continue feeling better and better and better. So let's get into the comments. Let me back it up a little bit here. I have a lot of more comments. It's been really awesome with the engagement on the YouTube live, and also with the comments coming in since we started the new video format at the beginning of the year. I've been really happy with that, and I just wonderful comments coming in, had people reaching out, a few calls, a few texts, and several emails. So it's really fun with all everybody engaging with the channel so much. So I just want to say thank you for that. Okay, I'm looking. There's quite a bit. Okay, so let's go and okay, so Bill the Pill Cosby watched Buying a House Knowing When to Walk Away. And Bill the Pill Cosby says, I would say the best bit of information in this video is keeping in mind that regardless of how much you're approved for, it's important to choose a house with a mortgage package. For example, your principal interest, your property taxes and homeowners insurance, and then accounting for your HOA. That won't sink you in times that get tough. What's the point of buying your dream home if you'll lose it at the first major snag in the road? Be prepared to compromise. So I really thought that was very intuitive and very insightful, and it's definitely something that I talk about and through a lot of videos, is to consider what's most important to you and the difference in between a max approval and housing affordability as far as your financial situation is concerned. Only you can ultimately determine what that is, but if you think it through and you play the what if scenario into the future, what happens if, then you can always make the best decision that's going to be right for you, that you're ready to commit to. Okay, so we have Babatunde Adibisi that says, I'm in the process of getting my new home and my agent is professional so far. Thanks for your video. I've been able to ask the agent some reasonable questions you talked about. I'm glad to hear that's helping you, and congratulations on being in contract on your new home. Super excited for you and sending you positive mojo and good vibes that everything works out the way that you want, and that you have a successful closing here soon. So thank you so much for tuning in today and letting me know how the video has helped you. And I 2 thumbs up, my friend. I'm really excited for you. Darren Carter commented on common repairs sellers must make after a home inspection. And Darren says, Andrew, this is a good topic. As you know, we did an FHA home loan. We had a home inspection first, and the seller agreed to repair and or replace things we requested. But when an FHA came in, they inspected and appraised the house and saw that all of the windows needed to be repainted. I didn't think they needed it done, but apparently FHA thought differently. So all the windows are now beautiful. So that's pretty cool. Darren, thank you for sharing that with us. And then we had an update on the freeze your credit video. So Mark S had said that at minute marker 319 that as of September 21st, 2018, that all credit bureaus are now free to freeze your credit if you so desire. So Mark S, thank you so much for that update. Really appreciate that. Adam Vaughn was watching common repairs sellers must make after home inspection, and Adam says we are closing soon, but the contractor won't be able to repair until after the closing. So the attorney is going to hold the funds to pay the contractor. That's a smart move, Adam, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us, especially for being in an attorney state and how that played out for you. Thank you. Then we have Punk's Not Dead that was watching House Bidding Wars, 8 Ways to Win. Punk's Not Dead says, thanks, I'm in a bidding war as we speak with Open Door. I hope that they're telling me the truth, that they have multiple offers. My realtor called the agent and they said no offers have been submitted. Then the next day they asked for our best offer and said that there are multiple offers. So we went above asking price. Few other things, the home is way overpriced, on market for only 6 days. What's my opinion of Open Door? So for reference, if anyone's familiar with like Open Door, OfferPad, Purple Breaks, Zillow, Instant Offers, they all operate on the same premise and they're often termed as iBuyers. iBuyers being somebody that would pay cash essentially for your house to a person that was selling it, and then they also allow a buyer to purchase it as well. Now, there's some massive trade-offs on those type of programs. While it can sound sexy and attractive up front to have somebody offer you cash for your home, do a quick close, what have you, you got to look at the terms of a contract. It always comes back to the devil's in the details. In many cases, those companies may be charging you 7 to 14% on average of a sales price just to sell a home, to accept their cash for your offer, and generally it's going to be below market value, because how can those companies afford to do that? One has to think logically here. They're going to have to put it back up on the market as soon as possible to try to profit and cash it in. So when you're being a buyer in this situation, it's only normal that they're going to want you to try to come in with your highest and best. It would be a pretty foul practice if they realistically don't have multiple offer situation and they're calling for a high and best as opposed to negotiating with you. It's hard to say since they're an internet-based company. Megorian, thank you for being here. Good afternoon to you as well, and always a pleasure to see you here, my friend. So it's hard to say exactly what's going on with their situation because everything is done through their system. Now, I have represented buyers previously that have purchased properties from Open Door and know that to be true, that everything is in their system whenever you're negotiating. But I've also been able to negotiate the price down with them based upon what's going on in the market and displaying comps. That's where the wisdom of knowing to submit a CMA and having your trusted real estate advisor prepare a CMA and submit it along with your offer is massive powerful. Now, for reference, a CMA is an acronym for comparative market analysis. All the time, a real estate agent would use this whenever going to a listing appointment. But CMAs are also for a buyer to know what the fair market price is for a home, and also to avoid any possible appraisal issues since they can't get more home loan than the appraised value. Something to think about and something to consider. Now, I'm not going to sit here and bash Open Door, OfferPad, and everything else. I think there's a certain market segment that they can benefit with cash offers, despite the fact that they're going to be charging a lot of money of those sellers to get their services, and also going to be selling at a loss in a lot of cases compared to the fair market value. So when I say that, what is that market segment that I'm referring to? I'm referring to those homes that are absolutely destroyed. I'm referring to those homes that would not be able to perhaps qualify for FHA or VA financing or USDA financing if in a rural area of the country. Those are the kind of properties I'm talking about. The ones that are torn down, the ones that need work, the ones that need some attention are the market segment that I think that would probably be most inclined to help, since they are cash purchases. Now, that would ultimately make those companies more into flippers than anything else, but on premise, if you listen to what I said a moment ago, that's what they're doing anyways. So why not renovate the homes that are in most need of it, as opposed to try to make it sound like they're God's gift to real estate when they're really not, when you start breaking down the devil's in the detail terms and everything. Now, from my experiences of working with at least Open Door, it wasn't a bad transaction. They were on top of it. They did what they were supposed to do, and we closed. And I don't have anything bad to say about their process. I found them to be very professional to deal with, and I found it a little bit annoying that there was like 10 counterparts. It seemed like maybe 10 is a bit of exaggeration, but and no kidding, they had at least 4 or 5 different people that I had to be in communication with, depending on what phase we were in. I found that a little bit annoying as opposed to being with one person the whole way through in the transaction. All the same, it worked out great. My buyer is happy. The buyer's living in this home now. And the most recent one that I did this way, she actually found me on YouTube and moved here early this year and is in her new home now. So everything worked out very well. But there are trade-offs and there are pros and cons, and one would be wise to review the devil in the detail terms of those contracts. Megorium, the seller listing agent has been hounding our agent about us giving an offer. So we went with what we thought was reasonable. They think it's too low. My thoughts. Megorium, that's a great point. I see that I missed your previous comment, so let me recap that one. You said there's a new construction in a rundown neighborhood that you have looked at. It's already come down $20,000 on price, but it's still double the surrounding houses. So then you asked, the seller and listing agent has been hounding your agent about giving you an offer, so that you went with what you thought was reasonable and they think it's too low. My thoughts. Comparative market analysis, Megorium. Comparative market analysis. That's what I was just talking about a moment ago. They're not just for sellers, they're also for buyers. So have your trusted real estate advisor prepare a comparative market analysis, have them submit it along with them, justifying the price of the home. Be sure that your trusted real estate advisor is accounting for the generational age of the home, since it is a new construction. At the same time, it's very important to be practical here, because an appraiser is going to have to go in there and you're not going to be able to get more home loan than the appraised value. So whether or not the seller, being the builder in this case, likes it or not, they're going to have to negotiate and they're going to have to drop to appraised value. So if it's a new construction, then please, definitely, by all means, have your trusted real estate advisor prepare a comparative market analysis and submit it with the offer, and stay true to what's most important to you. Perhaps you would like to re-examine the reasons why you're buying a home and what's most important to you about the home. And also remember what is your true affordability and what your comfort level is financially for your proposed monthly mortgage going forward. Keeping that in perspective, keeping your emotions in check will really, really guide you to a successful negotiation, whether it's that property or a different property. But first, be clear on your reasons why you're buying a home and why that's important to you and how it's going to impact your life moving forward. The practical tip here is the comparative market analysis and having your agent submit that to the builder themselves to negotiate the price down. Okay, those are great questions, so thank you. Babatunde Adebisi says most homes in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area are selling above market value. Saw a house listed for $155,000. I agreed with my agent to bid $165,000 for it, but unfortunately we got outbid. So I think more people are buying. Yes, the reality, Babatunde, is a lot of people are buying homes right now, and they will continue to buy homes. You know, I was just having this conversation with one of the local loan officers I work with here locally, and you know, they're considering possibly buying a house. And we were talking about the valuation of the homes, and they had asked me to perform a couple of comparative market analysis for them. And I did so. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you the same way that I share with everybody on YouTube, and I share with all the buyers that I represent, aside from obviously them, but here locally, right? You got to be honest with yourself about the market conditions and the market trends and the indicators and what it's looking like moving forward. You just got to be honest with it. I preface my next statement with that comment because it's very important to realize that if everything that we're watching with the trends, indicators, and market conditions hold to be true, and you can learn a lot more about that from watching the 2019 market predictions video put out on January 1 of this year. All the same, if they hold true, then you're probably looking at a next downturn in the market somewhere between 2023 and 2025. When you're looking at that downturn, unfortunately, most of us have the really big impact in our mind from the 2008 collapse. And it only makes sense. I mean, it was absolutely devastating. But you have to realize that wasn't normal. That the last time the market got hit, the economy got hit that hard was in the 1930s with the Great Depression. So you're looking at over an 80-year spread there. So then obviously, if you look at historical norms, that's not normal. So then the question becomes, what is a normal market correction and a market depreciation? It's more along the lines of 5% to 15% off of the time of the market. Now, to Babadunde's point, where people are overbidding still, that indicates a strong seller's market if that's the case. So clearly, the Dallas Fort Worth market in that price segment is an extremely hot and competitive market. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that level of competition. In many other areas of the country, it's beginning to cool, it's beginning to stabilize. Now, a stabilized market still means what? It's still an appreciating market, but just at a slower rate of growth. So, how does this pertain to the forecast of a possible 5 to 15% depreciation in a market correction that might occur around 2023 or 2025? The prices that you see today are still going to be under the baseline price when you come out of the correction in maybe, let's say, 2025 for this example, right? So we have to be real with ourselves as people across the country and of what's going on in the world economically and financially in our own personal lives, okay? We have to be honest that the prices that we're seeing today are where we're going to be in the future as well, even after the next correction, the downturn in the market, if you will. So by first understanding that also should provide insight to you as far as your comfort level in purchasing a home and coming to terms with the new realities that we're seeing. The thought process that the market would always stay like the 2008 through 2012 market, where it was highly impacted and highly depreciated, is fallacious and is not doing yourself a favor. What will happen is people that don't make a good decision here about moving forward with purchasing a home at the time that's right for them in their life, then what will happen is they'll find themselves trying to scramble to purchase a home few years from now, but the only difference is they'll now be contending with market appreciation, and the home that they could have afforded now that would have maybe made them very happy to live in will have gone up and become more expensive. It's an opportunity cost of time. That's why I always tell people when it comes to selling and buying a home, ultimately the time is right whenever you are ready and you're ready to make your move for the reasons that are important to you, regardless of what the market's going to do. The market's going to be the market. Now, that being said, statistically, can you say there are better times to sell or buy? Yeah, sure. But if you think about this, everybody that sold in this last 2 to 3 years in the hot sellers market, they did great on the selling side, right? But what did they have to face down with on the buying side? The same thing that every other buyer is facing down with the multiple bid situations that we saw over the last 2 to 3 years with the rising home appreciation. They still have the same thing to contend with. So in a buyer's market, while it may be good for a buyer, if you're a person selling a home in said market, then what do you get to contend with? Then you got to contend with not getting as much money as you could have in a stabilized or a seller's market, and then you get the benefit of the homes not being as expensive. So there's a direct correlation that people got to be real about whenever you're considering this. Anyways, I could digress into that and probably get way too analytical on it for far too long. All the same, just be real with yourself and buy or sell a home whenever you're most comfortable with it and the time is right in your life. John Y. Hi, Andrew. Closing next Tuesday. Final walkthrough is on Sunday. What if not all the repairs weren't made? Can that delay closing? Okay, John Y. Thank you so much for joining in. Super happy to hear that you got your final walkthrough on Sunday and also that you're getting ready to close next Tuesday. Congratulations, my friend. So you're asking what if the repairs weren't made? Well, the best practice here, if you have that suspicion, is have a reinspection done on the property. Just get it done and have them check it out for you. And if it's not, then ask the seller to go ahead and make those repairs that they agreed to on the repair request. You reserve that right to do so. Now, if you get there on Sunday and those repairs aren't made, it's going to be a judgment call. And you're going to need to talk to your trusted real estate advisor about it, depending on what the repairs requested were and whether you're comfortable with closing, because once you close, you own it, okay? And it becomes your responsibility to fix it. But if it's not fixed, then could it delay closing? Yes, it's possible if the seller needs additional time to go in and make the corrections. But being that today is Wednesday and you're closing next Tuesday, why not do the prudent thing and ask your trusted real estate advisor to get in touch with the listing agent and get confirmation that the repairs were done. If there are repairs that were needed that had professional services involved, there should also be repair receipts for that work. Request a copy of it. Keep it for your homeowner journal. And that'll give you the peace of mind of answering that question for you. That's a great question, though, and I'm glad that you bring it up, John. Congrats again on getting ready to close on your new home. Megorium says, thank you. Absolutely, Megorium. Always happy to help. Babatunde Abadisi says, thank you. Now I'm happy and I'm getting my first house now. Congratulations, Babatunde. Super excited for you. John Weiss says, thanks. You're very welcome, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you join us. Thank you for being here. Okay, so then we had Zia Shi that watched 12 negotiation tips when buying a house, and she asks, Can a cash buyer use appraisal as a contingency? Absolutely, you can use it as a contingency. Contingencies are going to be in place whether you're financing or cash. Now, what makes a cash offer more attractive to a lot of sellers isn't the cash in as much as the fact that the home does not have to appraise. So you need to consider what your logic is, ZSC. I hope I'm saying that. It's a little bit of a tongue twister for my country self, so I apologize, Zia. All the same, you need to consider what is the importance of the home to you. Are you buying it as an investment? Are you buying it as a primary owner occupant type home? What is the purpose for the property? All the same, to best answer your question, you can absolutely insert an appraisal contingency inside of a cash offer. There's no rule that says that you can't. It's not normal, but there's nothing wrong with it all the same. You could ask your trusted real estate advisor to perform a comparative market analysis, and if you were comfortable with that, if it was going to be less than the asking price, then offer that price that you're comfortable with offering. All the same, again, yes, you can include an appraisal contingency in a cash offer. It's your discretion. Just chat it over with your trusted real estate advisor and do what makes you most comfortable. Okay. Let me see. Then we got a longer comment here. 9 home upgrades to boost your home value from Terry Mastriantonio. Terry says, I know this is geared mainly towards homes in the US, but I'm in the UK and still find this information invaluable. We are hoping to downsize in the next 7 years. We will be mortgage free by then. I'm very conscious that we really need to bring this place up to standard to how it was when we bought it in 2001 and then some. Our barn conversion is worth nearly 800,000 euros, $1 million in United States money. And the common theme here is that this country is not to go overboard, don't overdevelop. But watching your videos gives me many ideas of what to do, what needs to be done, and if it doesn't need it, what not to do. I'm sure that selling there is a different process and a minefield to you guys in the US, but the principles should be the same. I love this channel of yours and intend to watch other tutorials on offers in the coming days. Thank you for taking the time to make these wonderful informative videos. Bless you. So Terry, thank you so much for watching, and I'm glad to hear that it's benefited you even though you're in the UK. That's great news. We do have subscribers from around the world that have watched us in South Africa, Canada, Mexico, different people that reach out to me, even some people in South America, Australia. So it's pretty exciting, knowing that we have a global audience developing and growing just upon our audience that's growing and our team that's growing here in the United States. It's awesome. And the more people that watch the channel, the more people that comment, the more that we can all learn together and continue to grow personally and professionally as a process, and also learn more about real estate across the world. It's pretty exciting stuff. So thank you. Really appreciate you, Terry. Dane84, watch new homeowner tips, 8 things to do first. She says, great ideas. Thank you so much. Let me see. Okay, so Melik reviews, watch, can a seller back out after accepting an offer? And Melik says, what about the earnest money deposit? Does the buyer get that feedback too? If the seller cancels the contract, you better bet your bottom dollar you better be getting your money back. And on top of your earnest money deposit, not only should you be getting that back, but if you're out money for an appraisal and you're out money for a home inspection, you also should be working with your trusted real estate advisor to gain remuneration by asking for the seller to remunerate, essentially repay the cost associated with the home inspection and the home appraisal if you've out that money. That would be the appropriate and right thing to do. So get with your trusted real estate advisor if that's your situation, Melik, but that's a very good question. I'm glad that you raised it. Kobe Higginson, thank you for being here. Kobe says, thanks again. I understand a pre-approval letter only lasts 3 to 4 months. Right now, we don't see any homes available in our style. Would it be smarter to wait? Now, that's your own decision, Kobe, and what's going to be best for you. Now, if you don't see any homes that are the style that you like, consider what's important to you about your new home. Consider your price point in relation to the market and where the market's trending. Consider the fact that mortgage interest rates may rise and home appreciation will continue to rise, although a little bit slower. The question, and the reason I bring that all up, Kobe, is if you found a home that offered you a floor plan that you like or in a location that you like, could you renovate that property? I know that may not be on like your top things to do where you're like, oh, I don't really want to renovate the property. But at the end of the day, if you could, would you? And that's a good question to ask as you're considering the time differential. Now, you can absolutely wait. I mean, you can absolutely do whatever makes you most comfortable, Kobe. If it's just an idea of thinking aloud and really getting clear on your reasons why you're buying a home, what's most important to you about the home, and if you found the right home in the right location, would you be willing to renovate it to make it your style? Because most homes, just from experience of working with people, people do things to them all the time to make them their own. So ask yourself, what would you do? Would you repaint the house? Would you be needing to add granite or quartz or redo the landscaping? If the answer to those questions are yes, then you automatically know those are negotiable items when you're out home searching and what things that you intend to do to the property after you close anyways. So it's just really important to be clear. You can absolutely do whatever you want, Kobe. You should always buy whenever you're ready to buy, and you should do it when the time is right in your life. And if 3 to 4 months makes you most comfortable, Kobe, then stick to it. Just stick to it. Now, does that mean that the home will be ready in 3 to 4 months that matches your exact style? Not at all. It could just be more of the same. So that's where the first set of questions come into play about what's most important to you and what would you be doing to the property after you closed on it anyhow. I hope that's helpful, and I hope it helps you to gain insight into what's most important to you and things to think about during your home search process. All the same, really wonderful question, and I really appreciate you raising it, Kobe, because a lot of people are thinking the same thing. And a lot of people wonder the same thing, and it's very, very helpful to have an honest conversation about it. So thank you for bringing it up. Okay, let's see. A lot of thank yous on the videos, which is always awesome. Thank you for that. Let me see. So Sal OC watched 9 questions to ask your mortgage lender, and Sal asked the question, so should I let them pull my credit before asking those 9 questions? It's up to you. At the end of the day, anytime you go through a mortgage application process, a lender's going to need to be able to pull your credit to begin the pre-approval process. It's one of those things to consider. It's one of those things to think about. All the same, let's say that you're ready to buy a home and you had 5 different mortgage loan officers pull your credit. That'd be 5 hard inquiries on your credit report up front. But so long as you buy your new home and you're under contract and close on your new home within 35 to 60 days in general, normally about like 35 days if you call it, from the time of closing or whatever is typical in your area. Let's say you're in an attorney state and the average is 60. What will happen is the credit bureaus will recognize the fact that you were mortgage rate shopping or mortgage lender shopping, if you will, and they'll discharge the other 5 that you didn't need, keeping the one that you did use. So it wouldn't result in an end game of having 5 hard inquiries in as much as just having one being with the lender that you used and that you went with. Now, perhaps you'd like to ask those 9 questions first before allowing them to pull your credit. That would probably be prudent as well. All the same, just want to be real with you how that works at the end of the day, because a lot of people get concerned about having their credit pulled, which makes a lot of sense. But when you get ready to buy a home, it's a different ball of wax whenever you're doing rate shopping or mortgage quote comparisons, what have you, so long as you're closing within a relevant amount of time as well. You want to have a conversation with your trusted real estate advisor near you, in your location, and also with the mortgage loan officer to better understand that time frame in your exact situation, in your exact city, just in case you do have the attorney states, what have you. But in general, you're looking at 35, 60 days. As long as you close within that time period after having the credit pulled, then you're able to get the inquiries that weren't used by the other loan officers off of your credit report and keep the one that you did use, okay? So PD in Jersey watched 19 steps to save new homeowners money. PD says, great tips as always. Thank you, Andrew. PD, always great to hear from you, my friend. Glad that you enjoyed that video. Janine Hoke watched the same video, say great tips, Andrew. Thanks as always. Thank you, Janine. Always appreciate you as well. A lot of things coming in. That's always great. I'm looking for other comments that people make or questions they ask. Okay, so it looks like we just hit our drop on our live stream. It seems like we always have 1 or 2 of those in the process. So thank you for being here. So always positive, 999 watched Who Pays a Real Estate Agent and says, great video. If a seller has the same listing agent and uses the same person to buy their next home, the buying agent, can the commission be lowered, or should you talk to the real estate agent regarding lowering their commission when you sell your house? Thanks in advance. So that's something that a lot of people wonder. And, I really have different schools of thought on this. Ultimately, negotiations can be had about real estate commission on the buying or selling side, and if they're going to be representing you on two sides, it's certainly a conversation that could be had. A lot of things could be negotiated. It'll come down to what the brokerage standards are for where that agent works, and also what that real estate agent standard is themselves. Now, what I'd like to share with you is to be very honest with yourself. Okay, my apologies, guys. Some technical difficulties going on today. So, to always positives comment, about reducing agent commissions and stuff like that, I want to be very open and very honest with you as much as possible. That would be like, let's say that you earn $60,000 a year, right? And your boss, all of a sudden, you go to work one day and says, "Hey, we're going to cut your pay. We're going to cut your 60,000 down by 25%." This year. And by the way, you got to pay for your own medical insurance, your own dental insurance, your own optical insurance. You got to pay for your own business insurance. You also need to start paying us a fee for your office space and all the materials that you use. You have to pay. And oh, by the way, that's before you pay taxes. Would you keep that employer? That my guess is you would say no. So when you're asking an agent to dig into the commission, that's what you're asking them to do. You're asking them to reduce the amount of money that they use to pay their bills, to live on, to operate their business, and also to do what they need to do to sustain and grow themselves in their personal and professional life. It's very, very expensive to be a small business, and each real estate agent is essentially just that, is a small business. We're required to have business licenses. We're required to have association licenses from the National Association of Realtors down to the local association of realtors. All those things come with a fee. By virtue of just simply being a real estate agent without a single closing in a 12-month cycle, that real estate agent is going to be paying at least about $3,000 to $4,000 on average across the United States before they even do one closing, and that's just for their licensing fees. So whenever you start talking about operation fees, like people, I don't know if you see my website, andrewfinneyteam.com. Well, that was a $12,000 upfront investment, and it costs $4,200 a year to maintain. Now, I also have other things. Obviously, I make YouTube videos. The video camera that I'm using to shoot my videos on was $5,000. So when you're talking about that, you start having to add this money up. So I know that sometimes it seems like a commission is a large amount of money, and in some cases it is realistically a large amount of money, but it's a gross figure, meaning that that agent still has to split it off with their broker, whether it's the listing side or the buyer side. They also have to pay their taxes to Uncle Sam just like you do, and they have the added business expenses of owning a business, and that can run into the thousands of dollars by the time you do your marketing, you do your advertising, you do your software. It can be very, very expensive to run a business. As anyone that's attempted to run a small business in times past would know and attest to, it's very, very expensive to run a business. At the same time, when you're talking about that, I normally will always ask people, if you were in my shoes, would you do it? And the answer is normally no. Then why would you ask me to do it? I mean, it's the truest litmus test that there is out there. If you're not willing to take a 25% or whatever the amount of money is the hit for your salary, then why would you ask someone else to do it? It's not cool. So just be real with yourself about that, especially if you're working with top agents and stuff like that have definitely paid their dues, and they're going to be able to save you a lot of money or help you make a lot of money whenever you get ready to sell your home. They're going to be able to do the JOB and get it done for you. Be honest with yourself and be real with yourself. You're paying for their experience, you're paying for their expertise, and there's a lot of costs that you probably don't know about that they're paying for to market your property if you're listing it. And also as a buyer, there are a lot of things they're doing to try to make things even better for you that you may not know. In fact, that website that you're probably using of theirs is costing them money just to have it available to you to help you do your home search. Just want to be completely open and honest with you there, because unfortunately people always want to have that conversation, but someone has to pay for it. And it's always the agent that when you're asking to pay for it, it's not going to be the broker, it's going to be the agent. And the less money the agent has, the less viable and economic health that they have in their business practice. And if you really want good agents to be around, that every business has got to make a profit. Something to think about. And this is already a really damn hard business and industry to be in to begin with. So something to think about, something to consider. I hope that explains or gives some kind of insight into people that have that thought, and knowing again, would you take a hit on your income? Just be honest. Okay. Well, I know that we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm getting a little glitch on my screen for some reason here and there. So we've been going on for almost 40 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and adjourn for the day. I definitely hope that you guys have a wonderful and prosperous week. Look forward to catching up with you guys live next week. If you have any comments, questions, or anything, please feel free to hit me up on email direct. And in between now and next time, I'm wishing you and yours a lifetime full of love, wealth, abundance, and happiness. And please be the reason that someone smiles today.